the cryopreservation is actually the conservation of the germplasm, preservation of the germplasm in form of the cells, tubers, seeds, their genetic materials. So the cryopreservation is actually the sum of the total of the genes which are present in a crop and its related species constitutes its germplasm in form of the seeds, in form of the tubers, in form of their storage parts. So the preservation of all these forms of the germplasm in low temperature is known as the cryopreservation. Preservation under low temperature or in the low temperature condition prevent all the metabolic activity and all the cellular activity of any seeds, tubers, storage organs, cells. So the low temperature retard all these activities. So by this manner, we can preserve those organs or those cells or those seeds for a long time. So now question arises, why this preservation, what is the need of the preservation? What is the significance of this germplasm preservation or preservation of germplasm under low temperature? First one is it is very applicable to those where the seed production doesn't take place. This practice is important for those materials in which the seed production is not possible every year. Sometimes they produce seeds, but the viability not remain for a longer time. So, second is by this preservating manner, we can save our plants as well as other microorganisms, or you can say the germplasm of any organism for a longer time, and whenever we require, we can use them or we can propagate them. So third is the conservation methods of storage are failed to prevent the germplasm or the seed or their viability for a longer time. So by this manner, the cryopreservation process is very important for the conservation of germplasm of the organism. Because the conservation of the germplasm, it involves the preservation of the genetic diversity of a particular plant or particular genetic stock or particular organisms. So by this manner, we can use them anytime in the near future. And it is important for the endangered plants, such plants which are very near to their extinct phase, or sometimes there are some plants which are under stress. The stress might be due to biotic or the environmental stresses. So by this manner or by this practice, we can preserve them for future needs. Besides this, many crop plants where seed viability for a very short period of time. So we can preserve and use later on by the practice of the cryopreservations. Sometimes some plant, they do not produce seeds, or the viability of these seeds are not viable for the next season, next sowing season. So sometimes we use the root and the tubers for their reproduction, for the growing to the next season. So such type of roots, such type of plant which produce roots or tubers, which lost their viability very rapidly. So we can store them at low temperature through the method of the cryopreservation, and we use further. So these storage requires, the cryopreservation requires, it is feasible because it requires low temperature and the storage space. Such materials are needed to be conserved for future uses. Sometimes you heard about the conservation of the forest plant, which are, or the wild plant, which are not usable at this time, but it might be possible that in near future we require that plants. So the jump plants or such plants or the such individuals we can use for further needs. We can preserve by means of the cryopreservation. So basically there are two types of preservation of the cryopreservation of the, or you can say preservation of the jump plants. First one is the ex situ conservation of the jump plants. Second is the in situ conservation. So cryopreservation is the mode of the in vitro conservation of the jump plant, or the ex situ conservation, because this type of conservation takes place under specific conditions in vitro or in laboratory conditions. So, definition of the cryopreservations: preservation of the storage organs, seeds, or their germ plasma of the individuals under low temperature. The cryopreservation is originated from two Greek words. First one is the cryos. It's been the frost, which is formed at low temperature frost. So the conservation of the plants under frozen state, that is known as the cryopreservation. The principle behind the cryopreservation is that under low temperature, the plant cells or the tissue or any other germ plant, they have zero metabolism and non-dividing state. So by this manner, or by reducing the temperature, we can preserve the stocks of the plant tissue in form of the plant cells, or in form of the tissue, in form of the seeds, in form of the tubers, in form of the tube. The cryopreservation can be done under different laboratory conditions, or you can say different ex situ condition. As you can see on your screen, there are 4 different methods by which we can preserve any plant material. First one is the over solid carbon dioxide at -97 degree temperature, low temperature in deep freezers at -80 degrees centigrade temperatures. In vapor phase nitrogen, the nitrogen is in vapor form below temperature -150. So basically, under this method is very applicable for the preservation of the plant tissue and plant cells. Third one is the minor in the liquid nitrogen. So the conservation of the tissue or the cell is the most common conservative approach. But the many crops like the roots, tubers, they lose their viability very rapidly due to the rapid metabolic rates. And for the conservation of this type of preservation requires very large space. So in the cryopreservation, the tissue and organs may be frozen and stored in the liquid nitrogen at -196 degree temperature for the long-term storage of the germplasm. And this type of storage for the germplasm preservation would be a great value in the conservation by the germplasm preservation. So this type of value is not approaches by the tuber and the root crops preservations, because it requires big space to place them. So under the cryopreservation, shoot tips, zygotic, somatic embryos are also preserved in form of the tissue or in form of the organs of the plant cells. The advantage of the cryopreservation is there is no any metabolic activity. The temperature which is maintained at the time of the preservation is liquid nitrogen, that is very feasible method, is the -196 degree temperature in nitrogen. At this temperature, nitrogen is in form of liquid state. So the preservation of the tissue organ of the germplasm at -196 degree temperature in liquid nitrogen is the most prominent and the feasible method for the cryopreservation. So these are the disadvantage. Once the material is successfully conserved to particular temperature, it can be preserved indefinitely. It means this type of preservation, under this type of preservation, we can preserve the tissue or the organ for a very long time. And once the storage is done, at that time there is no contamination. It means in the near future, when we use those cryopreserved material, there is nil or very few chance of the contaminations. The space, as per the space requirement, I told you for the germplasm conservation we require for a very small space, while for the tissue storage in form of the organs of the tubers, we require more space in comparison to the germplasm space. Germplasm preserving space. Next is the cryopreservation techniques for the regeneration of the plants involve the following steps. So basically there are these 3 steps during the process of the cryopreservation. These steps are, first one is the freezing and the storage. Second is the thawing. Last is the reculture. So in the freezing and storage, we have to select materials, and after free from the contamination to those selected materials, we add some cryoprotectant, which is required for their protection in the preserving medium. The preserving medium might be solid carbon dioxide, or the low temperature in deep freezers, or the vapor phase of the nitrogen, or the liquid nitrogen. after adding some cryoprotectant, we store them in these preservative materials or the preservative gases or liquids. Next is the thawing. Thawing is the process basically in which the frozen materials which is preserved and then plugging the materials into waters. This process is known as the thawing. Thawing is basically the process in which the cryoprotectant material is transferred from the very low temperature to the normal temperature. So that process is known as the thawing. Last one is the reculturing. Reculturing is a mode of the growth and produce a new viable project or the viable plant. So this process is known as the reculturing. First one, this is the procedure of the cryopreservation. First one is the selection and the freezing and the storage. So first step is the freezing and the storage. Under this step, first we have to select the plant materials. So first we have to select the plant material which we have to preserve in cryo protectant materials. The factors which are depends on the selecting of the plant materials or cryopreservation is the nature and the density of the plant material. Third is any tissue can be selected for the purpose. You can select the meristematic tissue, you can select the embryo, you can select the ovules as well as the seeds. And for the selecting of the plant material, the density of the plant material should be high. That is important to maintain their viability. Once we select the plant materials, next step is the addition of the cryoprotectant. So these cryoprotectant are certain chemicals which prevent the cryogenic stored material from the destruction. So these materials are the sucrose, alcohols, glycols, amino acids, dimethyl sulfoxide. So these are certain chemicals which use as a cryoprotectant to preserve the plant material within the freezing medium. So in laboratory condition, the two cryoprotectants should be used together instead of single one. And that practice is more efficient for to prevent the destruction of the cryoprotectant materials. Next step is the freezing. All these steps under the category of freezing and the storage. So now, the freezing means to keep the storage material under low temperature conditions. So the freezing might be either slow or it may be initially slow. It means if the freezing practice is slow, it means the cooling rate, there is a specific cooling rate. So the cooling rate in slow process is the -5 to 4 degrees centigrade decrease per minute. The decrease of the temperature ranging from 0.5 to 4 degrees centigrade temperature is decreased every minute for the cooling purposes from the 0 to -100 degrees centigrade. So that decrease in the temperature rate is the 0.5 to 4 degrees centigrade per minute for the 0 to minus degree centigrade temperatures, and then transfer into the liquid hydrogen. While in case of rapid freezing methods, so the rapid freezing method is initially very slow. It means 5 degree per minute decrease of the temperature up to minus 30 to minus 50 degrees centigrade. So the time taken for the process is about 30 minutes. And then after minus 50, then cooled rapidly by plugging in the vials of the liquid nitrogen. So initially in the rapid freezing method, initially the decrease of the temperature is very slow. Then rapidly after coming or when the temperature of the protectant material is minus 50, then we pressure then directly into the liquid nitrogen in vials. So the rapid freezing takes place after minus 50 degrees centigrade, when the temperature of the protectant materials or the tissue reach up to minus 50. After that, rapid freezing takes place. Sometimes dry freezing materials method has been also be applied. This type of method used for the dehydrated cells. It means the water has to removed. So the third one is a partial dehydration of the materials takes place in the dry freezing methods. This partial dehydration takes place in vacuums or by treating them with a specially formulated concentration solution that is known as the plant vitrification solutions. So the removal of water or the dehydration takes place if we do not remove the water of the cell. Water turns into solid phase in form of ice within the cells. So the formation of water to ice or within the cells, it harm to the cells during the cryopreservation. So the removal of the water takes place by means of the dehydration with a specific process known as the plant vitrification solutions. So this process is done before the freezing. So by this, we can increase the survival of the cell of the tissue. Once the cell is dehydrated, the dehydrated cell or the dehydrated tissue is encapsulated in a material like alginate before the freezing. So the dehydrated material has to be encapsulated in a gel form structures, and mostly the alginate is used for the process. So this dry freezing method, we will split it in the artificial seed formation, in which the dehydrated seeds are encapsulated within the alginate, which is a gel form structure. So by this method, by the encapsulated within the alginate, it preserves from the desiccation of the seeds. So once the freezing takes place, then the cryoprotectant, examples are the cryoprotectant as DMSO, glycerol, proline, and these cryoprotectant are the concentration of the cryoprotectant is very species to species, or the proportion is varied as per the need of the tissue or the storage part. So the cryoprotectant must be added to the culture medium to protect the cell from the injury. And this cryoprotectant prevent the formation of the large ice crystal in the cells. So the addition of the cryoprotectant part is very important part during the cryopreservation methods. It also protects from the toxic solution effect due to water loss from the cytoplasm. And the DMSO is the dimethyl sulfoxide. This DMSO is the most commonly used cryoprotectant. So the cryoprotectant added very gradually over a period of time up to 30 to 60 minutes, regularly applied this DMSO cryoprotectant on the preservative tissue or the preservative part of the preservative cells. So, and the temperature of the culture maintained about when the cryoprotectant are added to the tissue, plant material, the temperature of the culture is maintained about 0 degrees centigrade. So by this manner, often the cells and the tissue suitably pre-cultured before freezing, and this makes them hardy. By this manner, they are hardy structures, and by this, they can improve their survival. And mostly the frozen cells and the tissue is stored in a liquid nitrogen in form of vials or sometimes in liquid nitrogen refrigerators. And the temperature of the freezing medium must not rise above minus 150. If the temperature rises above minus 150 degrees centigrade, the ice crystal might be formed. So they can destruct or damage our tissue. Next is the thawing. So thawing is the thawing of the frozen material is achieved by plunging the vial into water. In the thawing process, we take vials from the liquid nitrogen and kept them into water at 37 to 40 degrees centigrade. And here the rate of the thawing is very important. The rate of the thawing should be 500 to 750 degrees centigrade per minute for 90 seconds. So in thawing, we kept these liquid nitrogen vials into the water, and this practice should be completed within 1 minute. In thawing, the material is then transferred into ice bath, and we kept them in ice bath till the time of the reculturing. So the thawing has to be rapid in order to avoid any ice crystal formation. So that process takes place very rapidly. Generally, the thawing material is washed several times to remove the extra amount of the cryoprotectant before it to reculture. But sometimes is to reculture the material is the presence of the cryoprotectant either in diluted forms or the undiluted state. So during the process of thawing, the cryoprotectant has to be removed. And when we use the cells or the tissue that might be recultured, so at the time of the reculture, the filter paper dish methods on a suitable mediums are used for the reculturing of the materials. So, thawing, then washing and reculturing. In reculturing, the material subjected to cryopreservation may show some special requirement during the reculturing, because each tissue required different type of requirement for their reculturing or for their regeneration. For example, the shoot tips from the freeze preserved seedling, in case of tomato, it required gibberellic acid 3, GA3, for developing their shoots. While normal shoot tips of tomato do not require GA3. So there are some specific requirement for the reculturing of the preserved materials. And the reculturing of the preserved materials, the requirement depends on the type of the cryopreserved materials. It requires different mineral, different nutrient, different enzyme to convert it into a plant. Next is the measurement of the viability. So sometimes there is a possibility of the damage of the tissue, death of the cells during the storage in liquid nitrogen. So we have to measure the viability. This product might be viable or not. It can regenerate into plant or not. So last is the plant regeneration. The viable seeds are cultured on non-specific growth medium. Suitable environment conditions are maintained for the regeneration of the plant. So this is the applications. It is ideal method for long-term conservation of materials. So all these applications we have discussed earlier. So sometimes they are